I can start recording. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this meeting. Please join me in welcoming our Toastmaster of the day, who is Matt. Matt?
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Hassan. All right. It's wonderful to see everybody. The Aurora Borealis, and we've got the Earth in the background there for Preetham and Ruchi. Very beautiful. So we're going to start our meeting tonight. The theme is Go the Distance. This is a phrase about persisting and carrying on, something we can all relate to. I was thinking in my own life, when have I gone the distance? And I remembered I ran a marathon in 2008, and I dropped out of my medical training at some point, and then I went back and finished it later. But as I was thinking about where some of the most profound times that I've gone the distance are in relationships. And like many of us, I've had times when I've resisted my relationship with someone who knows me really well and is challenging me, and I want to run away, and it would hurt me to do that. And I've wanted to, but I've received lots of advice and encouragements to stick with it. And I have a couple of really close relationships that I've really stuck through it with and wanted to throw in the towel, but haven't. And so as we're living our lives, we got to go the distance. And we're going to hear from all of our primary roles tonight on ways that they went the distance and who encouraged them to do it. To get our meeting started, let's hear from our functionaries. Ming-Chuo, you are the timer. Can you tell us a little bit about your role tonight?
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Hello, everyone. I'm the timer tonight. I will be keep tracking time, which everyone use for prepared speech. Whenever you see the prepared speech, everyone have 5 to 7 minutes to give speech. Whenever you see the green board in my background, it means you've reached the minimum the time requirement, 5 minutes. Whenever you see the yellow board in my background, it means you have 1 minute left to give your speech. When you see the red board, it means the time is up. You already used all the 7 minutes, and you have 30 seconds more to give your speech. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Ming-Chuo. Let's see. Actually, Mommy, we don't have Mommy here, do we? That is someone who I think is missing. Counter. Oh, let's see. Who has no role? Bhakti, do you want to be our counter?
Sure.
That'd be excellent. So, spur of the moment, Bhakti, tell us what the counter does.
First, for myself. Secondly, try to avoid filler words like these. I'll be looking for filler words like and repetitions of word within your speeches. So try to avoid them. Over to you, Matt.
All right, thank you. And finally, our grammarian is Sarah. Sarah is denizen at this. Let's see what Sarah, tell us about grammarian.
Tonight, I will be looking for excellent and unfortunate uses of grammar. I will also be looking for examples of rhetoric, such as alliteration, rule of three, chiasmus, and others. I will share with you what really blew us all out of the water and what you could use some work on for future speeches. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Sarah. So tonight's meeting will have the usual 3 parts. The prepared speeches first. We'll have 3 speeches, and then we'll follow with table topics, and finally evaluations. Let's get into our prepared speeches. Our first speaker tonight is going to be Chitra, and evaluating Chitra is Hassan. So Hassan, would you mind telling us what project this is and what we should expect?
Hello, everybody. Chitra is giving today a speech of level 3 of her pathway leadership development. The project is Connect with Storytelling. So the purpose of the project is to give a speech which has a story, or even the speech itself is a story. So I look forward to listening to her.
Thank you, Hassan. So I did ask Chitra, when is the time that you went the distance and who encouraged you to go the distance? Tell us about it. She told me about her times here during college that she learned how to cook. And along the way, there were lots of bumps in the road. She's burnt lots of food and eaten a lot of the burnt food and made things better and better than she was, especially 2 years ago. And so she had her friends who lived with her who said, don't give up. We like the food you make, even if it's a little burnt, and really encourage her to keep learning how to cook and to cook more and more. And she enjoys it. So that is something that Chitra has gone the distance on and been encouraged to. Chitra's speech is called Mira. Help me welcome Chitra and her speech called Mira.
Can everybody hear me all right? Okay. What is something that you feel your life has abundance of? Do you feel your life as an abundance of joy, abundance of hope, abundance of pride, abundance of love, abundance of ego? Cyril, what would you say your life is abundant with? You're muted, Cyril.
I would say my life is abundant of grace.
Abundance of grace is what Cyril is going through at the moment. Preetham, what do you think your life is abundant with at the moment?
Opportunities.
Abundance of opportunities. I met a girl named Mira. Mira, she graduated right out of college from the best universities in the country. She worked in a company where she was promoted for her hard work. She had the perfect boyfriend. She had the best friends who would give anything up for her. They would do anything up for her. She had the money even at the end of the month. Who has that these days? Mira, like her name meant, she had an abundance of love. Her family loved her. Her friends loved her. Her parents loved her. Her co-workers loved her. One afternoon, she was having a coffee with her friend. She reflected upon her life and thought, is this the abundance that she's looking for at this moment? She thought deeply that she lived a queen-sized life with all the abundance of love she had. She knew that if she's going to be staying over there, it'll be just the abundance of love. She wouldn't experience the abundance of anything else. She knew she had to move on. She had to move on just to bring abundance of love, joy, and hope for everybody around her. Mira, just like her name said, now she was abundant of hope. She was hopeful about the future, what it's holding up. Mira went from one step of abundance of love to another step in abundance of hope. In the abundance of hope, she left everything behind, her family, her friends, her job, the career she had built over the years, and moved to a new foreign country and thought this is where she needed to be. This would make her happy in the future. She lived in the abundance of hope, thinking that she will be in a better place from where she is today. She was in a hopeful situation for a very long time, and she added in abundance of work and satisfaction from the work she had, which made her more and more feeling of abundance of good opportunities, as Preetham said, in the future. She thought that moving on from her past life is just a phase, but then the abundance of love had been coming throughout, even in the future. It was something that she realized later. Abundance is a wave. That is something that you cannot skip over. Sometimes we get opportunities, we feel joy, we feel pride. We also pray for love and abundance of, we pray for abundance of joy, we pray for abundance of hope. But all we know that hope, abundance, everything comes as a wave. Everything comes as a wave. Sometimes we might not know what abundance we're looking forward for. Abundance is something that Mira was been looking forward to. Her life is not saying that she moved on, now she has a great life. She has been moving on several paths in her life. What abundance means to her. Life is just a wave. And in this wave, Mira has learned what abundance of love meant, what abundance of hope meant. And it is a journey, it's not a destination where she has to live. Let's all learn to have the abundance of everything and experience everything in this train ride. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Okay. Thank you, Chitra. That was a wonderful speech. Abundance is something that we all have a journey towards, and I really love that story of Mira. Let's take a minute and share your thoughts with Chitra on her speech. What did you love? What could she have done a little bit better? Timer, Ming Shuo, can we have 1 minute?
Time's up.
Okay. Our next speaker is Gaurav. And evaluating Gaurav is Surreal. Surreal, can you introduce Gaurav's project and tell us what we can expect?
Of course, good evening, everybody. I had the pleasure to see Gaurav when he first joined the club, and I also had the pleasure to see him delivering a lot of speech. And I have already evaluated Gaurav before, so today I have the pleasure to evaluate him again. And today he's gonna deliver his level 2 project, first project of the level 2, and he's trying to understand his communication style. So he has asked me to look up to his voice modulation and eye contact. And the title of the speech is Communication Style. Gaurav, good luck.
Thank you, Surreal. I also asked Gaurav, when did someone encourage him to go the distance? And Gaurav, like I think almost all of us, has set out on a very long academic journey. And as with many of us as well, has been tempted to throw in the towel and stop. So in fact, in his first semester of his PhD program, he felt like quitting and leaving. And his friend Sahil said, no, you're not quitting. You're going to finish it out and you've only just begun. And good thing he did, because Gaurav is here with us now and working on his PhD. So that is a wonderful story, Gaurav. Thank you for Sahil. And let's welcome Gaurav as he gives his speech, Communication Style.
How many of you have heard the phrase a man of few words? Can I have a raise of hands? The opposite of this phrase describes me. I am a talkative person. I initiate interesting conversations and then converting those conversations into awkward conversations by cracking lame jokes. Trust me, my jokes are so lame that if I crack a joke right now, you might leave the Zoom meeting. Xavier might also deactivate my Toastmasters profile. So bad. Recently, I came to know that there are 4 different styles of communication. That is direct, supportive, initiative, and the 4th one, analytical. My today's talk will be focusing on the initiative and supportive style as it resonates with my personality. I still remember when I entered the PhD program with my initiative communication style, I made academic contacts. This helped me to grow my network. But slowly and steadily, I learned that I should also be a good listener because there is ample of knowledge out there. I still crack lame jokes in between my presentations, which offend my professors. I'm still working on that part. Earlier, I still used to like interrupt them while they were giving me constructive criticism. But now, luckily, I don't do that anymore. I have stopped it. Couple of days ago, me and my friends hosted a party, and then I saw my roommate talking on a phone with someone. I'm like, hey, what's the issue? So he said one of my friend, Avinash, is feeling lonely at his apartment. He is also frustrated because he's searching for job. I said, you can invite him to the party. So he handed over the phone to me and I said, hey Avinash, this is Gaurav. You can come to our party and join us. He said, I don't know anyone except your roommate. So the next thing I did, I left my own party, went to his apartment, picked him up and brought him to the party. Trust me, it was a bit awkward when I introduced him. But later, then I said that he is from RIT. As all my friends were from RIT, they started a conversation. One of my friend was hosting a Diwali party next week. He invited Avinash to that party. Avinash was shocked that a guy who recently met like 15 minutes ago invited for a next party. He was happy and he was cheerful at the same time. I then dropped Avinash later after the party to his apartment. While driving back home, I got a text message saying, thank you, Gaurav, for inviting me to the party. I really needed this break. I felt happy reading that message. Along with a member of Toastmaster, I am public relation head for doctoral student associations. My role is to communicate with students if they have issues with professors, you can say advisors, or help in studying. I listen to their problems and give them informed advice. Recently, I got a call from a girl named Ayushi. I'm using this as a pseudonym. I do not want to disclose her identity, but I took her consent of sharing her story in Toastmasters. She was feeling sad and she was also planning to leave PhD. It was her first semester. She has never been on campus, nor made any new friends. She was in her apartment, and her roommates are all of masters. So they do not like you can say identify, or they do not resonate with the same wavelength as she does. So they do not understand her problem. She also started crying on the Zoom meeting, which was supposed to be for 15 minutes, but ended up over an hour. She said, I'm wasting your time. Sorry for that. Everything else. I said, listen, there are many resources in RIT. You can avail those resources and find your way through. And also, if you have any problem, feel free to contact me. So she asked me, can you meet me for a coffee? I just need someone to guide to. Now I contacted all my friends from PhD. Five of them said yes for the coffee date. And we, along with her, are meeting this weekend. To be honest, there are people around us who need a push. I I'm you can say 2018, like 2 years back, I was also in same position as Avinash and Ayushi were. By using my communication style, I'm trying to push those people to out of their comfort zone. I am not saying that my communication style is the best or you should follow my communication style. Each one of you have their own communication style, but I highly encourage to use those communication style to create an impact in both professional and private life.
Thank you, Gaurav, for those stories. Definitely excellent. Take a minute and share with Gaurav your thoughts, what you loved, how he could improve. Ming Shuo, can we have a minute, please?
Sure. Time's up.
Okay, thank you, Ming Shuo. Our last speaker for the night is Xavier, and evaluating Xavier is Preetham. Preetham, would you please tell us what Xavier is accomplishing and what project, what we can expect?
Xavier's speech is going to be a speech that he needs to connect with an unfamiliar audience through this project. The time for this speech is 5 to 7 minutes, and I'm expecting Xavier to select a topic that is unusual or unexpected in the club. We are looking for his ability to keep the audience engaged and not looking for a report on any content or a project. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster Matt.
Right. Thank you, Preetham. So I asked Xavier also, when did someone encourage him to go the distance? He had to think, he had many ideas in his head of when he's been encouraged. And he came upon a time that he went on a canoeing trip with Alex a while back, and it was quite long. And especially in one section of it, there were lots of bugs and it was pretty uncomfortable, and they were in the same canoe, so we couldn't exactly stop. But Alex really led by an example of working hard, rowing really hard, and it was obvious that Alex was not going to stop no matter how many bug bites they endured. And so that was very encouraging to Xavier, who went the distance right alongside Alex in a canoe. Thank you for that story, Xavier. Xavier's speech is entitled My Story. Help me welcome Xavier, My Story.
Can everyone hear me? This month, I celebrate my 6th year in Toastmasters. I've been in since a freshman in college, and man, has it been a wild ride. Just like any great roller coaster, it's had some very high highs and some very low lows. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, when I look back at my story and when I look at this audience, I realize that I've only known a lot of you guys for 1 to 2 years because of the volatility and the brevity of the master's cycle. You guys just come in real quick and graduate instead of being here for 5+ years. I'm sure I'll have Gora for a really long time still, but a lot of you guys just go so quick. That's why I felt that even though I've loved our slice of 1 to 2 years together, I don't think you would understand me without my story and why I am in Toastmasters. So that's what I want to share tonight. Starting my freshman year, first few weeks in college, I get invited to go to Tigertales. When I look into Toastmasters, it sounded pretty cool. I could give my presentations better. I knew that was going to help somehow. But when I went to my first Toastmasters meeting, I found something quite different. And that was in a speech that a guy by the name of Sabor did. Not only did he give a speech, he shared his story, a story that only he could share. And that was why, first his life in Afghanistan, and then why he came over to the United States to help advance his country through the leadership and technology skills that he could gain here. I was both moved and in awe. I knew I wanted to join that day. And when I grew up, I wanted to be a great speaker like him, someone that could share my own story. At first, I didn't take too many strides at this, and I had many excuses for this. I'm new in college. The lunch meeting time I could barely make anyway. My favorite one that I'd play in my head is, man, I got 5 years here. Why do I need to rush this? One thing I did develop quite well, though, is my relationship with Alex. He not only was a mentor to me, is a mentor to me. He's a great friend. We would go out and he would take me to restaurants around the Rochester area, and I have to thank him for the spice level tolerance that I have today. In addition to talking about Toastmasters, he would help guide me through college life because I was a first generation college student and he just finished it. Actually, fun fact, I am the same age now that he was when he met me. And then the unfun fact, well, it's kind of funny, is the beard I've been trying to grow that he's already had is not coming in. I'm sorry, guys. But through this time, we were just building a relationship coming up, moving into my 2nd year. I got the chance to go into some e-board positions, which is super fun. Just started getting more and more into it. And then all of a sudden, tragedy struck in my life. I have a younger sister who passed away at that time due to medical complications. And it took a humongous toll on me because we were close just growing up together, and I didn't get to be there when her condition got really critical. I didn't get to say goodbye. So I go back for the funeral, and didn't really feel everything all the way through, even by the time I came back to Rochester. And the work was, it took a toll of just trying to feel this, but also complete my semester work. That is literally all I had energy for. I'd go to class, do my work, and then binge either Netflix or eating, and probably both. So this is definitely the lowest time that I was feeling. And at one point I sent an email to the Tigertales group at the time, and I said, I can't do Sergeant of Arms anymore. I just need a break from this time because of this. And all I got back was gratitudes and condolences, and it was great. But the time that I really remember is the time that Alex reached out, and he kept getting together with me, not only for meals. He allowed me a space to share my story with him and put light on pain that I was feeling. Just an opportunity to go through this mourning process, and step by step, I felt myself coming back to life during this time. I come back to Toastmasters, and very soon afterwards give a story of myself, sharing this part of myself that I was mourning for so long, wanted to just dim down. And I remember it being very raw, but also very moving to people, because it was something that was very real in my life, that only something that I could share. So I lean into Toastmasters more, going through positions, meeting this short, crazy guy who gives speeches on his head. You guys know him as Preetam. And slowly begin building up technicality in addition to sharing part of myself and my stories. Me and him compete that spring and do quite well. We both make it to division, building each other up at the same time. So we're both totally into Toastmasters at the time, where I get to be president and help other people share their story, transform in a way that was just amazing. 2018, I go out to Reno to work at Tesla, which is super cool, for 8 months. The bad part, I learned that if you don't go to Toastmasters, you'll lose it. You lose the public speaking ability. I come back all nervous, jitters again, had to go through that. And pathways. So I just finished my CC. When I left and I come back, it's like, well, pathways. Okay, we'll go through that. But since then, I mean, I knew when I went through what I went through, and that I had Alex by my side. I'm pointing this way because he's sitting over here now. That we would be able to get through it. And right now I stand where I have one more speech left for my pathway after this. And remembering his advice that he gave. I would always bring money when we would go to restaurants, and he would say, no. Somebody, when I was a poor college student, that person paid for me, because he said, you know what, you're a poor college student. Just pay it forward when you're not a poor college student. I'm still poor, but I'm not a college student anymore. And I want to pay it forward what I can pay forward. I believe this is the place to do it. And that's why I'll be a lifelong Toastmaster. Mr. Toastmaster.
Xavier, thank you for your story. Every time you talk about your sister and that journey, it gets right to the heart. Yeah. Thank you for that. It was very vulnerable. So let's share with Xavier how that impacted you, what you loved, and what could he do better. 1 minute, Ming Shuo, 1 minute.
Time's up.
All right, to wrap up those love notes, we will move on to the second part of our meeting tonight, which is table topics. And to lead us through that is Alex. Help me welcome Alex.
Our theme for tonight is Go the Distance, which comes from a song from a Disney movie called Hercules. I am on my way. I can go the distance. I don't care how far. Somehow I'll be strong. I know every mile will be worth my while. I can go most anywhere to find where I belong. Thank you. Our clap master is on point tonight. So our questions are going to come from the lyrics of that song. The first one, I'm on my way. I can go the distance. I don't care how far. Somehow I'll be strong. So tell us about where are you on your way to? And what's the strength, the kind of strength that you will need? But before we do that, since I'm going to give you a little bit of a second to think about that, let's get our timing report from our timer, Ming Shuo.
For table topics, every speaker has 1 to 2 minutes to give the presentation. And when you see the yellow, we'll see the green background, it shows you have already used 1 minute. And when you see the yellow background, it means you have already used 1 minute and 30 seconds. When you see the red background, it means you used all the 2 minutes and you have 30 seconds to finish. Back to you, Mr. Table Topic Master.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. There's also a second report that we want to make sure that we hear our word of the day. So we're going to hear from our grammarian, Sarah.
So what's the word of the day? I'm wildly unprepared today.
It is embrace.
Thank you. Sorry, friends, that I didn't announce that earlier in my first report, but Alex here will keep me honest. The word of the day, as you now know, is embrace, which is to either, you can use it figuratively, to openly accept something, as in we've all had to embrace this virtual platform for our Tigertales Toastmasters meetings. You can also use it literally, which often means a hug. So in this time, we must refrain from embracing one another lest we infect one another. Use the word of the day. I'm going to write it on a piece of paper right now and hold it up because I can't do backgrounds, but I'll put it in front of my camera. Then you don't even have to look at me until you use the word. Then you get the reward of my face and being eligible for the prize. Back to you, Alex.
Thank you, Madam Grammarian. Now that you've all had a chance to think a little bit about my first question, I will remind you of it and we'll look for a volunteer among any of our members and also our guests. So if any of our guests or our members want to jump in and speak up with our first question. So the question is, where are you on your way to now, figuratively or literally? Where are you on your way to, and what sort of strength will you need to go the distance? All right, Matt, our Toastmaster is raising his hand tentatively. So let's hear from him.
All right. I am on my way to being with people, I have struggled with this. I often am the type to jump to fix things. I'm very busy. I like being productive. I've found a lot of worth in myself from being productive and getting things done. And it's caused me to miss a lot about being with people. And I work in a place where I see a lot of people and I have a lot of interactions with them one-on-one. I'm a family physician, and so I speak with people in a room one after the next all day long. And I hear some really hard stuff, and I'm really good at walling myself off from it. And I think I do okay with questions and stuff and things and seeming like, yeah, I'm good at walling myself off. And I'm trying to go on a journey towards being more with my patients and embracing them and their stories. And it's been difficult to do that, partly because of all the pain that they're sharing with me. I need a lot of strength to do this, and I'm leaning on those that are closest to me right now, which includes Brendan down there, and also another guy named Matt, who a lot of you know, and really being open with them about being with people and not shutting my heart off from them when I'm with them. And I don't have a lot of more words for it, but that's the journey. And the strength is from sharing the burden with others with me. And then I can allow my heart to open up.
Thank you, Matt. Now we're going to have two more questions. So if you're waiting to jump in, don't wait anymore. Just go ahead and throw your hat in the ring. So our next question is based on the next line of the song. I know every mile will be worth my while. So what is a journey that you have taken that was worth just as much as the destination? What is a journey that you have taken that was worth just as much as the destination? Brendan is waving wildly. He wants to go. Let's hear from Brendan.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Now, this is a really interesting question, and I recently gave a speech about this at a club in a long form. Hopefully, I won't speak for 5 to 7 minutes in my 1 to 2 minute Table Topics response. But when I moved to Rochester, I came because I was transferring to RIT and getting a degree. What I wasn't expecting was all the friends that I made along the way. And through those years, having really deep, intentional conversations that changed my life and really let go a lot of baggage that for some reason I believed I had to carry all of my own shame, my own past, whether my mistakes or things that had been done to me. And there's something so freeing about being able to have those difficult conversations and then look back after a year or 2 years or 5 years and see how far you've gone. So that example of walking that mile is worth my while. In the moments, it doesn't always feel good or happy or nice, and it's hard to see the progress, but having those conversations all put together and the changes it's had in me have absolutely been worth my while. Each of those miles walked has been a great journey, and I've been glad to embrace those conversations and friendships. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Brendan. Now, our final question, since the theme for the day is from that movie, Hercules. We all know the story of Hercules from Greek mythology, that Hercules was extremely strong, superhumanly strong, could beat up a lion with his bare hands. So, what is a strength that you have that is extraordinary that you want to tell us about? It's an extraordinary strength that you have you want to tell us about. Freedom is raising his hand. Let's hear from Freedom.
That is such a profound question. I feel that every one of us has a unique strength that we can embrace and grow. And when we embrace that strength, our growth becomes like a hockey stick curve. For me, I feel my strength is going from failure to failure without any loss of enthusiasm. I've been used to this. Since childhood, I was not good with studies. I was in seventh grade and I still did not know my multiplication tables. So I had been failing in all math courses for 5, 6 years, but that did not cause me to lose enthusiasm to fail one more time. I have seen that all throughout my life, and I feel that now that I'm an entrepreneur, Xavier is on my team, and I have 2 business ventures where I'm growing teams. I go to talking to people every day. Sometimes we are applying for grants and we need letters from customers that we want to work with you. We talk to people, some people say, no, we will not give you that letter. And we say, okay, next person. So just going to the next person from one failure to another without any loss of enthusiasm is my strength. And I hope everybody finds out what is theirs, embrace them, and grow exponentially. Back to you, Alex.
Well, in today's world, that strength is definitely a lot more valuable than being able to beat up a lion. We don't see too many lions around here. So thank you, Preetam and Brendan and Matt, all of our table topic speakers, for jumping in and giving us an impromptu speech. It's a tough skill, but it's one that we all want to work our muscles on so we can get to be impromptu Hercules. That is the end of our table topic section, and now I'm going to turn the meeting back over to our Toastmaster for the evening, Matt Mack.
Thank you, Alex. We're going to vote, right? Vote. Yeah. Okay. There it is. Oh, that was magical. Vote for who you think is the best. Did the best. Right. Okay, shouldn't take any longer than that. Go with your first instinct. And now we'll move on to our evaluation section. Leading us through evaluations is Sridhar, who will be our general evaluator. Help me welcome Sridhar.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters and guests. So today I'll be leading with this part of the section where we get feedbacks. So getting feedback is pretty much part of our life. Knowingly or unknowingly, we get feedback for a lot of things that we do day to day, for shopping or getting a suggestion for reading a book or watching a movie. So this here we get feedbacks for our speaking skills. And these days I'm getting feedback from my 8-year-old on my reading skills. So whenever I read a story to my 3-year-old, he points out few mistakes in words or some things that I miss. I actually appreciate that because without that, I wouldn't even know that I'm reading so badly. So this part of the meeting, how it goes is first we'll start with getting a feedback for our speeches, and then we'll go for a report from functionaries, and finally I'll give my feedback for how we did today with the meeting. Just to start with, first speech was by Chitra, and evaluating Chitra was Hassan. So please welcome Hassan to give feedback for Chitra.
Thank you very much, Huda. Hello all, and hello Shitira. Shitira, I like your speech, and I like the message you had in the speech, which is about loving what we have. You talk about Mira, who has a life filled of abundance, and still, but she was not that happy. So the message behind your speech, if I'm not wrong, is to love what we have and to be happy. You did something great. You started your speech with a good introduction. This is really important when you have a speech, especially when there's a story in the speech. You need to catch people's attention. And you did that by having a rhetorical question, which is one of the most effective way to have people attention. And you also made the speech interactive by asking questions to Cyril and then to Pritam, which also helps you get the people attention. This was great. And I also like that you stood up to deliver a speech. And by you doing that, you had more gestures, and you also use your speech, your space in the best way possible. And there's also something really important that I like in your speech: the use of descriptive words. This is really important when you are telling a story, and you use many times the word abundance, which was really great. Is help us, imagine a life of feel of joy, feel of love, etc., etc. And something really important when you are telling a story is the pace. So you really deliver a speech with with calm. The pace was good, and you had pauses that help people engage. How do you say, right, to digest what you are saying. This is really important in storytelling. And what can be improved? I said that you really did great by asking questions to Cyril and Pritam in order to have people attention, and also to make the story more interactive. I don't know if you did that before, but it's really recommended to talk to these people before, so that they can think to the questions and have your answers. And otherwise, you can lose time because maybe Cyril or Pritam is going to take time thinking about the answer. So it's really good to talk to these people before the speech, so that they have their answer ready, and they won't waste your time. And you also deliver your speech in less than 5 minutes. So you had 7:30 minutes to do that, but you did it in less than 5 minutes, which is something to improve. And there was something missing, especially when you're telling a story, is the context. We need to know, for instance, who, when, and where. We know one of the character of the story was Mira. She has some friends, but we don't know much about the friends. You told us that she moved to a foreign country. We don't know which country is it. We don't even know the environment she was living in, and when was it. And you really had time for that. You had 2 minutes to tell more about Mira, the country she moved in, the environment, the people she's living in, because this is really important when you're telling a story to have this context. So who, when, and where. But the speech in general was great. I like it, and I like especially the pace, which was really a great improvement compared to your past speeches. Congratulations.
Thank you, Hassan, for such a wonderful evaluation. And for the second speech was given by Gaurav, and evaluating Gaurav is Cyril. Please welcome Cyril to get a feedback for Gaurav. Cyril, you're muted.
Yeah. All right, my bad. So Gaurav, your speech was about communication style, and I really liked it overall. I was able to see what your communication style really is. So for the introduction, you were able to connect with the audience by asking a question from the very beginning, I believe. And you also used a compare contrast methodology to explain us what you are trying to say. For instance, you said a man of a few words versus yourself, uh, who is a man of uh, who is a man of a lot of words, I would say. So we were able to see that you are not the one who would just say a few words. You rather talk a lot. You're really talkative. And then you told us a small uh, introductory story, which set us up to hear more of your speech. As far as communication style, we could clearly see that you are, and you use humor to communicate and connect with people. And you explain that in your speech when you especially mention the story about when you try to connect with people in the academic environment. You also asked me to check for your voice tone. I would say it was great overall, especially when you mentioned the conversation that you had with your friend when you guys were trying to prepare for this party. But I would say that you could have done better, especially when you are trying to use humor as your communication style. Maybe we could have heard more stories or more things that you said with your friend by using those variations of tones and probably telling us more jokes. You also felt comfortable on the stage. You used the stage, you were moving around. It was very obvious. And you had a very good body language. Uh, Sometimes when you were delivering your speech, I would see you laughing. This will make us also decompress and enjoy this moment with you. And it also is a symbol that you are living the story that you are telling. And I could see that you are a person who likes to make jokes and to laugh. You also asked me to check for your eye contact. Um, because we are using Zoom, it's really hard to monitor. But definitely, I would say that you did not read. I did not really see you reading your notes. So you were comfortable taking time to clearly tell us the stories that you were sharing and truly living that moment uh, while you were delivering your speech. Things that I believe you could have improved is that I had a feeling that the speech was short. I don't know how much time you used to deliver the speech, but I just had that feeling that the speech was short and that you could have used more time to tell us more about your stories, especially towards the end during the conclusion. I was really surprised because I felt like you just jumped in to the conclusion. So maybe this is something you could improve because I was connected with you at the introduction, was connected with you during the body part, but I was really surprised when you started delivering the conclusion. So I would say there's probably something to improve there. And for eye contact, because you really wanted me to check that today, I would say you could have moments where you would come close to the camera and talking with us, especially when you had this conversation with your friends, or at moments where you would probably make jokes. You could have came close to the camera so we could actually connect with you and yeah, and leave these stories with you. um, to sum up, I would say the speech was great overall. You had a very good occupation of the stage. You use voice tones, but you can also improve that. Eye contact was good, but you could also improve. What I would really insist on is that you try to use like 7 minutes, the full 7 minutes to tell your story. Thank you. And back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Cyril. And our third speech was given by Xavier. and evaluating Xavier is Preetham. Please welcome Preetham to get a feedback for Xavier.
Okay, something funny happened. And that funny thing is maybe I got the wrong evaluation form from Xavier. However, it does not matter because I can still evaluate his speech. So I would say, Xavier, with this speech, you would be able to engage even children, toddlers, like short people who have short attention spans. And you would be able to do that because you started with a story. And it was very engaging right from the beginning. You shared, I'm going to tell you my story. That brings anybody forward. Your attention is grabbed immediately. And then you went on telling the story. The best part I liked about what you said was how you said it. It did not feel like a presentation at any point. It felt like you were having a conversation with me. And I think that is the absolute best way to communicate a message. For me and Xavier, we have both read a book called Win Without Pitching. And that book talks a lot about how we must move away from presentations and move into conversations to engage with people around us. Because presentations are not personal, conversations are more personal. And I saw that in your speech today, Xavier. It was like I was sitting face to face with you on a dinner table and you were just sharing the story with me. To challenge you, what I would say is, in your story, include dialogues. Like when you met Alex, what were the words he exactly said to you? And how was your response to that? So that would create a more realistic scene of what you were going through. Right. And even when you heard Sabur for the first time, what was the story that he was saying? What was the words actually he said? Maybe one line, just one line. But just saying that makes us feel that we are living that moment with you again. Right. So that would be a very engaging way to share. So overall, Xavier, to sum up, what I really liked about your speech is your conversation style. You have moved very far into confident as a speaker, that you are able to have a conversation instead of giving a presentation now. And that is a great trait of a very confident speaker. To challenge yourself, I would say include more dialogues and keep on telling the stories, and you will do awesome. So back to our general evaluator, Sridhar.
Thank you, Preetham, for such a wonderful evaluation. And with that, we are done with getting feedback for all our wonderful speeches. Let's move on to the reports from our functionaries. We'll start with timer. Mingshu, can you please give us the timing report for today?
Yeah, of course. And tonight, everyone did a wonderful job. For prepared speeches, Chitra used 4 minutes and 47 seconds. Gaurav used 5 minutes and 43 seconds. Xavier used 7 minutes and 58 seconds. For table topics, everyone is on time. Everyone was on time. For evaluation, Hassan used 3 minutes and 25 seconds. Sarah used 4 minutes and 33 seconds. Prita used 3 minutes and 36 seconds. That's all. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mingshu. And let's move on to the R counter report. So Bhakti, can you please give us the R counter report for today? Bhakti?
So for tonight,
Yeah.
Fiona?
Yeah, I thought you were the R counter.
I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So for tonight, our first speaker was Chitra, who abundantly used abundance a lot. Next, we had Gaurav, and I'm happy to report that he has improved quite well when it comes to repetition of words. He used the word like only twice, which is a significant improvement. And Xavier did use some filler words, but I feel like those filler words helped conveying those emotions very well. So I'll give you a pass. Matt didn't have any filler words. Brendan didn't have any filler words. Preetham didn't have any filler words. Alex didn't have any filler words. Neither Sridhar, Hassan, or Preetham. Cyril had a few filler words. Overall, it's a really good R counter report for today. Back to you, Sridhar.
Thank you, Bhakti. Let's move on to grammarian report. Sarah, can you please give us a grammarian report?
There were some wonderful things that I'd like to point out from this evening's meeting. First of all, I noticed that Gaurav and Chitra both used rhetorical questions. Chitra used straight up questions as well and had people answer them, including starting with a question, having us think about something on our own. It was rhetorical, but she wanted a show of hands. She wanted an answer. But these rhetorical questions, one of the reasons that they're so powerful is that they make the audience answer them in their heads. Chitra made people answer them out loud, which is great for the people that she called on to answer them and for us. But the trick of rhetorical questions is that it forces the audience to engage, whether they were planning on it or not. If you're asked a question, your head answers it. Whether you might have just been like, I'm not answering that. Guess what? You just did anyway. So that is why that is an excellent rhetorical device. And I appreciate that they both used it. In addition to that, Chitra's device, her rhetorical question there, who has extra money at the end of the month these days? It was great, one that we could relate to. Most of us, I'm sure, if not all of us. And I loved the phrase queen-sized life, because I've only heard that used with a bed. So to think of, oh, a queen-sized life, that is fantastic. Appreciated that one. Gaurav, one thing that I did want to point out, there was a phrase that you had, there's an ample of knowledge. Ample describes that it's an adjective for knowledge, so it's ample knowledge. And it sounded almost like you had an ampule of knowledge, which would be a small container of it, but I don't think that's what you meant. So ample knowledge available would be the correct phrase for that. Xavier, I know what you were doing, but I don't give you a pass on using the word very. You had very high highs and very low lows. Having the repeated word works well, but you could have repeated something more descriptive than very. Sky high highs. Depth of the earth lows. Could have done something like that. However, I loved that you had, I'm not a college student anymore, I'm still poor. That one, having that, we were expecting something different and you threw us off with that. Preetham, I'm guessing it's a sales phrase, because all the way up through calculus, I never heard of a hockey stick curve, but I really liked it. Seems like a sales kind of thing. And you use the word of the day 3 times, more than anybody else. Everybody knows it. Sridhar, I'm not going to have any criticisms. Your kids are doing a good enough job on their own. And Preetham, again, you defined toddlers as short people with short attention spans. Brilliant, perfect, love it. I have nothing else to say beyond that. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Sarah, for such a wonderful report. With that, it's for me to give a general feedback on the meeting. I think we are really doing good with the way we are embracing this change. So the way we are doing online meetings and Clapmaster and the timer online, I don't think there is anything wrong or anything that I can say that we can improve. But one thing I noticed is our agenda is something different because I was having hard time reading it, and the R counters and speakers are different than the agenda. Maybe if we can send that, that would be helpful. With that, I'll hand it over to the Toastmaster of the day. Matt, back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sridhar. Before I announce the winner of the table topics, just a couple of things. One was I forgot to tell you who Sridhar was encouraged to go the distance by, and I really want to because it's Xavier. So Sridhar told me that we all remember that speech he gave on garbage patches, which if you're like me, you went straight to Google Images and tried to look up garbage patch. And then I did look it up, and you should do it. It's very intriguing in the ocean. But Sridhar didn't feel like he was able to give that speech that week. He didn't feel prepared. And Xavier said, no, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And then he gave that speech, which is incredibly educational. And I'd never heard of a garbage patch in the ocean. So that I wanted to share, forgot to share that. I hope that you all were listening to all of the ways that people have been encouraged to go the distance by friends and people important to them, and take that to heart. It is very hard to go the distance alone. If we want to go fast, go alone. If we want to go far, go together, is a quote. And finally, with that, unmute yourselves because we need to do a drum roll. Treat them.
Yay! That's my book.
So enjoy your
Yay.
invisible chocolate. Wonderful meeting. With that, I will turn it over to our president, Hassan.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being a Toastmaster of the day. And I would like to thank Xavier because Ajita was supposed to be our third speaker, but she dropped out due to internet problems. And 3 hours before that, Xavier decided that he would be the third speaker. Congratulations, Xavier, for that. And also Bhakti, who is our counter, she was not supposed to play that role, but she did that with also the role of a Clapmaster. Thank you, Bhakti. And we have today a guest, Miriam. Yeah.
Hi.
Thank you for being with us, Miriam. Did I pronounce the name well, Miriam?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I would like now, if you can take 1 minute or two to tell us what you think about the meeting and the club in general.
Thank you everyone for having me. I'm using I think that's the reason why I'm here. This is my second Toastmaster ever. Yep, there's a again. And I'm really interested in learning to speak better, be more presentable in professional setting. So I really appreciated how tech savvy everyone was. Thank you, Brandon, for inviting me. And everyone did an excellent job. I don't have much to compare it to, but I can also see the dynamic of the group. You guys seem to get along. I don't know if it's true or not, but based on my assumptions here, you guys seem to like each other, maybe. Yeah, a little bit. And I look forward to growing with you guys, learning more, and I hope to be able to stay on for the time frame. So if you have any questions for me, please feel free to ask.
Thank you, Miriam, for the feedback. We have our meetings every Wednesday at the same time, so I hope you'll be with us next time, and why not, and becoming a member, so you can deliver speeches without
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We are also glad to have the Area 21 director with us today, Judy, who is going to take 5 minutes to make some announcement and also answers to questions if we have questions. Judy.
Thank you, Hussein, for allowing me to come. Basically, you usually have a club visit from an area director, but you're in area 22. I'm in area 21. Recently, your area 22 director had to step down due to a hectic schedule that she wasn't anticipating when she accepted the role back in June. Therefore, I'm visiting and offering an opportunity that anybody that would like to step into a leadership role with Toastmasters maybe consider being the Area 22 director for the rest of the year. The biggest thing you have to do is take a time to come visit the clubs in your area. And I'm glad I made a trip out to visit you, even though it's not a physical trip. It's just moving from my downstairs to the upstairs office to where I could have some privacy, except my little gray monster decided to come visit us too. Just to give a little background on him, he is a Russian blue from Korea. My daughter teaches English as a second language in Korea, and she took a year off from being in Korea, brought him home. But when she went back to a new school, the apartment they were providing didn't have a lease for pets. So I became a grand pet mother. And he comes up and visits whenever I'm on the webcam. Don't see him the rest of the day, but when I'm on the webcam, there he shows up. And so I thank you for tolerating him as we went through. But you get an opportunity to go see how other clubs lead under the same basic schedule of a Toastmasters. And Matt, I want to say, I have never seen anyone in the clubs that I have visited over the 2 years or my own home club interject questions as you did, with checking out with the different speakers and finding out how they have gone the extra step or the extra mile, or what has caused them to go that extra mile when they were ready to quit. I like that little rendition of connecting it to the different speakers ahead of time. I like that. Also, along with it, Freedom, Matt, you guys were involved with the speech contest last year. Alex, you've led other programs with leading up to the contest. So I've seen your faces, and it's good to know which club you belong to, but we've got to start thinking about the contests. They're going to be virtual this year. So this is going to be the only way that the format is going to be going on. I believe will be starting. Clubs have to be completed by the end of January. Then areas will be going in February, divisions in March, and the district contest will be someplace around April 24th. I'll send out the full list to Hassan when I find it again in my emails. Those are the two main things I was wanting to get across, is that I'm going to serve as your area director until one of you or some other club members wants to step up and experience what an area director is like, and the contest. Any questions from you about what's going on in the district?
I don't have any questions, but I will say from experience that being an area director is a really rewarding way to get in touch with other clubs. So if you're looking for another way to grow in Toastmasters, it is a really wonderful way, and I would be happy to mentor any of you in the process of being an area director. It's really rewarding to get in touch with other clubs and be a part of that. So be happy to mentor any of you in that if that's a step that you'd like to take.
Thank you, Alex, for that.
Judy, for helping us out in the interim while we're waiting for somebody to step up. I really appreciate it.
Yes, I've served as area director last year and I felt like I wasn't completely serving my clubs as well as I could. And this year it has really turned over and been a real joy in connecting with them. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Thank you for allowing me to visit, and I'll step back in at some other time if I continue to serve as your area director. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Judy. Thank you for being with us. I hope you will come back another time. Thank you all, and this is the end of the meeting. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Bye.